Hello, and welcome to the JCC of Metro Detroit's 22nd Annual Lenore Marwell Detroit Jewish Film Festival. My name's Jamie Loeb, and I'm the Senior Director of Cultural Arts at the JCC of Metro Detroit. Today's film discussion and all of our live film discussions are presented in partnership with the Detroit Institute of Art's Detroit Film Theater. I want to thank them for their support and help in making these live events a reality. One of the ways the Detroit Film Theater has been involved with the festival is through their director, Elliot Wilhelm. He's one of the deans of the Detroit film scene and a part-time faculty member at Wayne State University. He'll be the moderator of today's event, and we are really thrilled to have him as part of the team as our film expert in residence. This is, of course, our very first virtual film festival, and we are thrilled to be able to connect with all of you from the comfort of your homes. The festival runs from October 4th through the 30th, and all of our films, except for one special event film, are available to watch on demand throughout that entire time. And of course, we have a series of live film discussions here on YouTube throughout the whole month. You can find our schedule of live events, our full film lineup, tickets, festival passes, and all of the great information right here at our website, culturalarts.jccdet.org/filmfestival. Sorry, /filmfest. Just kidding, filmfest. While you're here on our YouTube channel, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the little reminder bell so you always know when we have exciting virtual events coming up. We do want to hear your comments and questions throughout the event, so feel free to drop a comment in the comment box or text this number right here on your screen with your ideas, your questions for the director, and so on. Of course, our speakers have an excellent event planned for you today, but they will get to as many of your comments and questions as they can. So the film we're discussing today is Mossad. It's an Israeli comedy centered on a version of the Mossad that has more in common with Austin Powers than Fauda, and is just a whole lot of fun. We are thrilled to have with us the writer and director, Alon Arye, all the way from Israel. His body of work is extensive, includes TV, film, mostly comedies, I think, and a lot of fun things. So please join me in welcoming our host, Elliot Wilhelm, and our guest, Alon Arye.
Hello, Alon.
Hi. Hi there.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, great not to be here.
It's great to have you here, particularly for this movie, which was what's the right word? A tonic, at least for me. It's great to encounter a good comedy anytime, but right now in this particular era, it's really great to encounter something that it made me laugh out loud, which I'm a big crier at movies. You know, I cried at Pinocchio, but finding something that I can laugh out loud at when I'm sitting and watching it alone is pretty unusual. And so my thanks to you for that. And I hope a lot of other people will.
Thank you for laughing in the right places. It was a documentary, but I don't know why did you laugh.
That's right. It may not have been the right places. Yeah. But I'll tell you when you had me. This is a movie that is a laugh a minute. It's filled with gags, one after the other, nonstop parody. But that's not so easy. You know, the old term, drama's easy, comedy is hard. Show me something new that I can laugh at. That's a visual idea that just clicks with me, and I'm yours. And there's a scene that takes place in a prison cell early on in Mossad, and the prisoner is doing what you've seen in a million prison movies. He's counting the days on the wall by making those little marks. You make 4 of them, and then you make the diagonal across it, which we were always taught in grade school. This is how you make 5. You do the 4 vertical, and then the horizontal. He makes the second week, and then comes the next one, and then the camera moves back, and we see outside his cell is a picket fence with those same diagonal posts, and of course he's actually drawing the outside. Now describing this isn't funny; it's seeing it and the timing of it.
No, that's funny. That's a great joke. Where did you see it?
It's hilarious.
What?
And he's even drawn the little bush next to the.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a scream. You did the cliche. You did the scene, but the timing of it was so funny and so fresh. And of course, it took me back to a movie like Airplane, which was a huge hit, I think, all over the world, but certainly in the United States. I don't know how the language and so on translates. And at some point, I'm going to let you talk, but I will say that even though most of the pictures in Hebrew, your film, not Airplane, and there's some English thrown in, it works. And I don't understand maybe 2-3 words of Hebrew, but the picture works subtitled. It works, I think, globally. It's a riot. How did you do it, and where did it come from?
Well, you can continue because it's interesting. I want to see the film.
No, I'm going to take a break.
It sounds like it. Well, first of all, I think 60 or 70% of the film is in English, and no one in Israel complained because most of the films we watch are American films, right. 90% of them. So we are used to watch American films in English with subtitles in Hebrew. And for you, it's in English, so it's okay. And the other stuff are visual gags, and visual gags it's a dream of mine because to make a visual gag, what the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams made in Airplane and Top Secret, and later on David Zucker in the Naked Gun trilogy and lots of other films, is like taking the gags from the era of the Marx Brothers. And I watch, I'm also lecturing in Israel about comedy. When I can't make a film, I talk about other films. So learning from Buster Keaton and Danny Kaye and Jerry Lewis and it can be anyone. Just learning Abbott and Costello and cinema making films is visual. So first of all, trying to be visual but it's not funny what I'm saying here. It just have to be funny for you. And also, we try to make the formula of Airplane was comedy without comedians. So the cast is not exactly comedians. So Tzachi Halevi, if you know Tzachi Halevi, the main character, I can share a string and just tell you about the cast.
Please.
It's
because you're not that familiar to me, so I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, so the language is language of comedy and spoofing spy movies. Usually you go to the Mossad and ask them how, but they didn't answer, so I just made it up. And people always ask, is it dangerous to make a film, a comedy about the Mossad? And people from the production started to disappear, but otherwise, it was pretty fun, and you see, this is the Israeli poster, and you have here this joke. Here it's written, "You don't mess with Israel." So this is the Israeli poster, and later on we made the English poster, and also the characters here are not trying to make you laugh. It's not pushing it. It's just being too serious because we are spoofing cliches of films. And later on, we discovered that people from Iran, from Tehran, got into our website. We have a website, Mossad COIL. So we translated also the poster to Persian so they can understand what's going on in the film. So this is the Iranian version. And we got great responses. So it's really fun when you encounter something like that. Just go and have fun with it. And also now the film is screening in Germany. This is a poster from Germany. They don't know the actors. They just made a poster of their own. So it's now also. It's amazing that, and we got in Israel when you get a review from a critic. Especially if it's good, also for comedy. This comedy I'm so grateful. It's amazing because we didn't really knew what we're going to have at the end of this journey, and people really liked it because they knew that it's trying to bring the spirit of those classic comedies. And the first rule was when we wrote it is first of all, we don't use gags. First of all, you must have a plot, a strict plot underneath the gags, because otherwise it's like a gag train. It's like a joke after joke, and the audience gets tired. Now, so first of all, you must have a story that without a joke you can make a film, maybe a B movie, but it's a great film by its own. And then you add the jokes, the cream over this cake. So, I don't know how much you know the Israeli cast in this film, but it's all-star cast. It's like a celebration. We made a film with stunts that usually, when you hear an Israeli film, you usually don't think about this kind of film. Maybe you think about the Mossad, but usually you think about the army or a broken family in the army. And we try to do something that people will understand outside.
Now, there's a universal language. Yeah, people without parents. Yeah.
Well, I won't stand up now, but you see, Tzachi Halevi really is always doing dramatic parts, and he's an amazing actor. He's a really amazing actor, making lots of TV shows and Fauda and Bethlehem, the film, and now he's filming this month, and two new shows. So he's really appreciated. He never done comedy, but he really wanted. So I was looking for the Israeli Leslie Nielsen.
Right.
Leslie Nielsen was always made dramatic films and horror films.
Right, he never did comedy before.
It was like coming from soap operas for Leslie Nielsen, and then I met Tzachi, and it was like magic. He knew exactly what we were doing. And maybe if you know that or not, but he really wanted to do that, and he was so precise when he told things. He said silly things with the serious attitude, and
which makes it work.
Yeah, it is. And also, everyone never done this kind of part before. We have Dvir Benedek. Is really also, they're all very famous in Israel. It's like too many people. This is the Frador. Frador, she is the CIA agent. Well, she's from Israel now. She's living in Hollywood. She's making, but we can say she's the imported. But yeah, she's amazing, and she's not from the U.S. English is perfect. And this is Tal Friedman. He's a comedian. He's a real famous comedian, and he tried to be less fun and not shouting like in television, but just doing the opposite. He is Aaron, and he becomes Aaron Man. So it was like collecting, people joining this project, and this is Dr. Sharon. I can't do something without him. And Ilan Dar, he celebrated 81 on the set. He had every award possible in Israel, and also this is Gila Almagor. She's, the most important actress in Israel. So it's really amazing to do this stuff here, and also that it can be successful. So we try to do something that it took me a long time to convince people to give money, to get the budget for this project. I'm so glad we're talking here. That's a sign that it worked.
It worked well. Are comedies generally big in Israel?
No, well, we had comedies. The most famous comedies are from the 70s, and we had less. And then we don't have big comedies here in cinema theaters. In television, most of the comedy now is on television, but in film, we're specialized with what you call the Israel genres. But now Israel is starting to open to other genres. It's really hard, but it can happen, as you see.
Yeah, and you know what was impressive? it's clearly not a remake of one of the Zucker brothers films like Airplane, but as you say, when you got that spirit to work for you in the story that you're telling, you took it on every level. The musical score, for example, is not full of comic cues that tell the audience this is going to be a funny scene. It's the opposite. It's the straightforward dramatic thing, even with the James Bond style theme song at the beginning with the kebabs twirling, which is a great bit. There was something added in every sequence that gave you that drive of the plot, along with the possibilities for parody that are always in there, but that generally don't come out. And it's just like you make the whole thing blossom. It's really it was really delightful.
Well, yeah, you must be serious. You must have the orchestral soundtrack to be like the real thing. It should be like the real thing. And I must now tell you all about the involvement of David Zucker in this project, because it's really, I always wanted to to try to talk to him, but he's a legend. He's in Hollywood, and where am I? And suddenly a friend called me and said, David Zucker is coming to Israel, and maybe they're looking for someone who is like, I want to meet him. I'm going to take him from the airport on my back. I don't care. So it was like we met and we talked, and we met some Q&As in Israel and Cinematex, and then and he saw a few minutes from I made a short 13 years ago, which is the base for this film, and he saw that and he said, "Oh, it's like Naked Gun," and it was strange because many people try to do like the Naked Gun, but
right.
And then after we saw my last feature film, I was in LA, and he came to watch it, and then he said, okay, if you're going to make this film, I'm in. I know your budget is my catering budget, but I can. He helped me, and also we had the chats here, at night. For me, it was night. Yeah, for him it was noon, and in video calls before it was before everyone were talking through the internet in video calls, and we just worked the plot and tried to make the characters believable. And then he came to Israel to 1 week of rehearsal, and then he stayed for the shooting. So it was amazing that I'm shooting something, and I say, what will David Zucker will say? And he's here. What do you think? So he was there. So it was like amazing thing for me. And also in Israel we had Avi Nesher. If you know, Avi Nesher is, I don't know, is like the Israeli Spielberg. It's the really most successful director in Israel for years. So it was like something really big, and it must work when you do something like that and everybody's
right.
waiting. So I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, it was. I think also the reason for making this film is because nobody in here understood what we were doing, because you can't compare it to anything.
Right.
So they just got exhausted. So, okay, give them the money. He knows what he's doing. I think that's the secret for making films. And about the question of the audience, I knew that people like us should like this film if it's going to be good. But we are working people. We have no time. And when we watched those films, we were young, maybe in school, and we could watch Airplane again and again. So it was the real question if the younger audience will connect to this film, because they don't know even this genre. It's
right.
Scary Movie 5 is a decade ago, and
right.
It was a great surprise to see people going to the beach and then go to the cinema to watch Mossad.
But a lot of the younger people who caught up with the Airplane. Like my son caught up with it and became a huge fan of it, but had never known who Leslie Nielsen was, or Lloyd Bridges, or any of the other serious actors who were in Airplane. He just loved the picture and he thought it was hilarious. Later, when he saw those actors in older films, he got the point. And here, I'm not exactly a younger viewer, but I'm a viewer who didn't really have a great familiarity with the actors in your movie, and yet I thought it was hilarious. So I can only imagine that, knowing who they normally play, the kind of characters they normally play, that would add that extra element to it, which helped to make Airplane such a unique thing. Although you
That's
didn't
right.
Yeah,
I was on second grade when I watched Airplane.
Yeah.
My grandfather said that there is a great funny film tonight, but you can't stay awake, so record it in this VCR and watch it Saturday morning. So it was like I didn't know who Leslie Nielsen was. It just was really funny, and also had some dirty jokes. But it was funny for me in second grade. So, and later on, yeah, you understand. I watched a film with Leslie Nielsen, and then I said, "Why isn't it funny? What happened?" And it was, it's the before area. So.
The problem is, if you just encounter him for the first time, you probably, find him either a bad actor or a funny actor, even in his dramatic parts. He was so good in the Zucker films that it's hard to watch him afterwards without thinking about that. But to go back to parents letting us watch movies that were on late, when I grew up, of course, there were no VCRs. There was no way to record things. So I was given, if my mom thought there was a movie that I should see, like Citizen Kane, when I was 10 years old and it was on the Late Show here, she said, my father was a doctor, he'll write you an absence excuse for tomorrow. He'll say you were sick. You can stay up late and watch these films. It ruined my education, but it gave me a direction in life. So I always had mixed feelings about the fact that I was always tired at school, but I saw great movies that a lot of my friends did not see. So,
well, I must tell you, now we are in lockdown here. My kids can do nothing but to see what I make them see. So now they just get all the classics, and
that's right.
We'll see what will happen next. But that's the advantage.
Control.
Yeah.
So, what kinds of movies do you see other than, clearly the comedies that there are to see? What are the films that excited you when you were first becoming a filmmaker, other than comedy? What kinds of films do you like?
Well, the answer is really complicated because it's like it's not always comedies. You
That's
can
right.
learn. You must know how to do the right thing and then to spoof it. I always thought about, if you're making a parody, you must really know how to do
know what you're
thing.
doing. Right.
Yeah, it must look like a film, not like a SNL sketch. So well, lots of them, a British comedy and American, lots of them, French movies, everywhere. Even those films only with views, Baraka, just you watch the view and the lake and no plot. I don't know what happens in the end because I always fall asleep. But
yeah.
But I really, it's interesting to watch everything as much as you can. You know what? I'm going to do something. You see this library?
I do.
Because I'm in a Zoom call, I must have a library. Now,
that's right. You've got to.
Library. But if I take this computer to the other side of the room, this is the projector. I must have it. But this is the real. That's where things really happen. That's the DVD library. And then this animation section and the James Bond section and everything and the Zucker section. It's just going. So that's where
now
I
I'm comfortable.
Keep the silent films and the Americanness. Okay, so you got the pictures. So that's the truth. We are not reading any of those books. It's just props.
Now, when in life did you become a fan of the Marx Brothers? When did you discover them?
That's also, I think my grandfather was just telling me, watch this, watch that. There was a Night in the Opera. we had films here on weekends in Israel. We had one channel, so there was one film at the weekend, and so and it was ancient back then also. So it was a classic, and you're watching those films and say, oh, people can do this kind of stuff. They let them do this kind of stuff. It's amazing because it's just taking what you know about society and just like show the truth and have fun. And they're also made so many kind of gags. This Groucho was talking, and the other one was only visual gags, and it's amazing to be part of this world. I really believe that we can do this kind. I can do this kind of comedy here, and also in my other projects, films and TV shows, always try to put this kind to combine, to mix different kind of humor. Just learning and make up some of your own.
That comedy can be very. People sometimes tend to dismiss it as being not important or packed with important ideas, but I think that's completely wrong. Comedy has such power to connect with people. If you look at just to go back to the Marx Brothers for one second, I don't want to dwell on them, but if you look at a film like Duck Soup, it's hilarious and it looks like it's just anarchy, but it's a great portrait of fascist regimes and of pomp and circumstance being blown out of proportion of all human values. It's funny, it's hilarious, and there is a horse in the bed, as we were talking about before we went on the air here. Not that we talk about horses in the bed all the time. It's just that we were making a reference to.
You're in trouble now.
Airplane. Right, that's right.
It's on YouTube.
It's gonna be censored. I'm sorry, but it can be, without really tipping its hand, really make a big impact on younger audiences and be very important. Chaplin went ahead and did it a little bit more forcefully in a film like The Great Dictator, but it's a great medium for getting ideas across and for bringing people together.
Great Dictator, to be or not to be, like a film that mocks this era, and you watch it and say, "Oh, that's from the 40s." It can't be.
It's a brilliant movie. It's a brilliant film. The war was still going on, and people thought, "Oh, this is tasteless. You shouldn't be laughing. It's you don't make fun of these things." Of course you do. And this is, Mel Brooks used to say, this is our revenge. This is how we ultimately win.
When you do parody, it's from love. If you mock something because you want to be cruel, it never works. Right. If you love things, Mel Brooks made the Blazing Saddles because he loved westerns, but he saw the limitation and the faulty bits. So that's why we watch spy movies, and we have the Cold War back. Thank God we can make more parodies about it.
That's right.
When we had the Cold War, the first Cold War, so they made James Bond movies, and then I was never Get Smart, like
that's right.
saying okay, but it's not like that. Spies are not like that. They're human beings. So now, when the world is changing, there are lots of spy movies. Again, they're popping all the time. You have Kingsman and Mission Impossible, and the new. So and also on television, also it explodes. So that's the time to parody, to make parodies about this stuff.
And you're lucky that the new James Bond movie got put off till next year for release, at least in the United States. So this film should be shown everywhere. Mossad should be the new James Bond picture in all of the newly opened theaters in the United States.
Well, tell your friends and enemies.
I'm telling them now.
Because
my enemies. It would take too long.
Well, James Bond called and asked for us to delay the truth is that we have time to make a sequel, I guess.
You must. And it says to be continued. Or is that a spoiler?
Well, we're working on it, but it's really, the distribution. That's the part that takes time because we are not in the system. We are not in the Hollywood system. We are still as much as funny, and we have airplanes and choppers and blow up things. Still, it's a Israeli film. It's like an art house. You not expect to get it from the Middle East, but that's the idea. I want it to be the best and the worst because it's the only one, and and now it gets attention. It gets distributed around the world. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen next. And yeah, I'm working. The team is working now. We're working on new stuff in this kind.
Now, just in that regard, let me ask you, what film production there is like now? Is everything locked down? Are you still in the pandemic lockdown in terms of film production?
Now we're filming. We're filming.
Okay.
There are limitations that you must have more than 2 makeup artists and
Right.
less people riding a cab. It just makes things more expensive. And but money we have in Israel, that's not a problem, This film is $1.5 million. Yes.
Right. Okay. But getting actors and getting technicians together, they're all of the restrictions.
I'm joking. It's really hard, but it happens.
Yeah.
Here we're shooting things, and but the productions are going on. But still, everybody waits. I know if it wasn't the COVID-19 situation, I was now coming back from Monte Carlo, and that after Brazil, and then the connection flight to Prague, and I had a list of places to be in, and I'm sitting here and talking with this. With you. You're great. You're great. But it could be
all right. I see where you're
but
going.
I could be there hugging you, and there's no limitation.
But what's also nice about the film is that it doesn't have a short shelf life. The picture will be funny next year. The picture will be funny the year after that. And it exists in a kind of a movie time and place that is sort of immortal. I mean, it's one of the reasons Bond is still there. Some of the situations may change and hairstyles and clothes and so on, but it's still the same appeal, even with the great sequence that you have before the credits begin in typical James Bond fashion. Long sequence which was hilarious. Those are the conventions of the genre, and it's going to be funny.
Well, while the world is still messed up, we can make movies about this
Well,
situation.
you don't have to worry
all
about
the
that
places
ending.
I said are places that there was a film festival, and I couldn't come. But I had a journey to India, Mumbai, and they screened the film, and they were laughing because they said, "Oh, we understand exactly what you're talking about, because we know the American films and the CIA, and they have the budget, and the Israeli guy is just like an Indian guy. You can shoot it here. It was almost the same." And we had a test screening in the US, and people told us that they get the jokes and know it's funny, but it was strange for them that the CIA agent is smart and the Mossad agent is stupid, because they thought the Mossad agent should be the smart guy and the CIA are not exactly the sharpest. So everybody thinks about the other, his neighbor's grass.
Right.
And,
American films are still a big export. Are they? What's the story in Israel in terms of what films are seen? Do American movies? Do you still see them everywhere? Is it still very, very popular?
Yeah, that's movies. The default option is to watch an American film. I can tell you that I watch Danish films, Italian, but the truth is everybody is watching it.
Sure.
No, it's like what we have. 90% of the stuff on cinemas and television, because that's the films. The Disney pictures, the Marvel, it's like everywhere. So it's common language. I think I watched Toy Story 4 a few weeks ago, and it was like exactly if it was here. near my place. It's like the world is really the same. I don't think I felt this kind of feeling when I watched the first Toy Story, but now it's like the global village and the city hall is in your side of the world.
We got a question came in. Somebody wants to know if there's a line, and if so, what is the line between satire and parody?
I think the magic is to mix them. We have this scene when the head of the Mossad, the wonderful actor Elon is telling people about the situation, and when he talks, the headline in the website is changing because someone is leaking.
Right. Yeah.
So someone is texting
directly to
what he said, and he understands. So that's satire, because here you can keep nothing in secret. Every government meeting, you hear something, and I think it's the same. I watch also your news. That's the same. and so that you're laughing about real stuff. Every comedy, every joke, you must have something. That's what I believe. Something that is hurt, something painful, and something true. And usually, the one who is not laughing, the joke is on him. So satire is everywhere, but it's a matter of balance, because you can't do. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to make. I know what they're talking about, and so, and also when we wrote on the poster, nobody messed with Israel. Some people will say, "Oh, that's funny," because it's like trying to be the tough guy. But there was people that came to watch the films. Oh, at last they have a film that showed that Israel is great again. So you can have both of them. That's being, I think, being clever, that you get both of them, both of the sides. So satire is always there when we talk about something truth, but parody usually is like laughing about the genre, because we are not making fun on specific scenes on movies. Those films that someone tell you, they're laughing on. I didn't watch this. No,
right.
You all know that lasers on films are red and they go in straight lines.
Right.
And there is this scene, this scene that we had. Here it is. It's I show you, and I thought, okay, everybody knows from the 60s. We know that lasers.
Watch out for the lasers.
Yeah.
and they're lines, and we know that they're light beams.
But no, that's why we are the first ones who tried to touch them, and it was strings all the time, and we didn't know that. So it's really fun to combine, And I'll tell you something about satire. This is the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. And in front of the Knesset there is this menorah. That's a famous.
This is great.
Real.
You go ahead and tell it, because it's a riot.
So behind this, when Tzachi is standing there, it opens, and then you can go under the rose garden. There is the Mossad headquarters. So we shot that, and usually all the time there are tourists there, all the time. So there was a group of tourists, and they asked the guide, "Tell me, what is that?" And he said, "I never saw that. What is that? Open the door opens and goes." And someone said, "Oh, it's the entrance to the Mossad," and it went away. So she said, "Okay, that's interesting, because people with T-shirts coming in and out. Maybe we'll come in an hour and ask them. Maybe they let us also to see what's inside the Mossad." So I don't know if maybe she's fired now, but it's a real thing. Or we had this bridge. We have, in every American, that's the inspiration of the American films. In every big American films, you must blow something up. Usually, it's
the Golden Gate.
Yeah, the Eiffel Tower. Usually it's the Eiffel Tower, but it also can be the Statue of Liberty or the White House. And we wanted to blow up something, so we got the bridge. There is a bridge, a big famous bridge in Jerusalem when you enter the city, and we blew it up. So we did that with CGI, and of course it's not so easy to do this kind of stuff in Israel, but it's like this is the storyboard. We made the storyboard to make this scene happen, and when we in the premiere, people were standing and applauding to this scene, and I think there are people from the city hall, working from the city hall, from the mayor of Jerusalem, applauding, because people hate this bridge. It's like that's not what you expect.
They're glad to see it go.
Jerusalem, these strings. So it's really funny to that's people that connected the dots and said, oh, we got that. We know what we're talking about. So that's all the time the balance. And also in this kind of film, you must shoot much more stuff than you need. It's 90 minutes. It can be too long because people get tired. You always work. You're looking for jokes, behind the actors, and in second view you can find more jokes, more gags, and so you have more jokes than you need. Not everything works, and then you have to cut it. Even if you have a scene and there is 5 great jokes, but you must use only 2, you should choose and keep the other jokes for the sequel or the TV show or something else,
or the credits.
Yeah, for the credits, yeah, or for the there is a director cut. There is a director cut version for this film.
I want to see it.
6 more minutes. Yeah, and we had it on theaters, and you could go to this place and watch the regular version, and if you watch it, you can go to the other door and watch extended version. And it's like when you say a director cut, it's usually director's shit. It's like what the editor was smart enough to take out. Now, at the beginning of this version, the director kills the editor and put back all the jokes that was left on the editing room, and it's longer, and it's not so good as the real one. It's not so
There
good.
was a reason they were taken out.
Yeah, on the poster we wrote in like in bed writing, like not the expensive fonts. Like I took a marker and wrote with more jokes that was left out, and it should stay left out. And that's how we get more people watching the film again and again. So it's really fun when all this adventure of making this this film to go out. Usually when we had really great reviews. I'm so grateful. It's amazing. It's not obvious at all in this kind of film, but when you want to bring people to watch it, you must be like the film. So we made some silly things to make the audience in Israel to come to this theater. So just this is when you go stand in line, you can be the characters from the film.
Yep, I get it.
So you can be one of them.
That's very clever.
And it's written not don't go. We're looking. So keep online. And if when the computer asks you if you're a robot, when you want to buy something, buy tickets. Mm-hmm. So he's really a robot. He can't do that. He can. And there is also, this is amazing. There is also a virtual reality game that people invented. It's like a virtual reality. You become the hero, becoming Iron Man. It's 10 minutes, and we had in every complex in Israel, in 4 complexes, you can buy ticket and play the game of the Mossad. And this is comparing us to the Lion King. Of course, we're better. And this is not us. This is a fan made poster, like the Avengers. And this is also buying tickets to the Mossad and other movies. So it's like I won the lottery. You just bought all the seats you wanted. So this is also fan made. So people that's them making jokes because they felt part of it. And this is the Forrest Gump version, big popcorn. Yeah. So it's really fun to be part of this adventure. We were this is like we were the 8th movie, number 8 on Google Israel in this year. So eat my dust, Almodovar. So it's like having fun with this. You can do this kind of promotion with other films, and it was really an adventure also for the people who put the money in, because in Israel we get the funds. We have funds for supporting this film industry, because there are not enough people are talking in Hebrew in the world to watch all the movies we have. So it's really hard to get. It's hard everywhere. I know. In Hollywood, it's hard everywhere to make a film, but it's like you don't expect people to watch and love this kind of film coming from here. So I am just excited and grateful, and let's make more of this. Let's make something better.
We're excited and grateful too. I'm really glad the festival here is showing it. I hope lots of people are going to see it. It was wonderful. And you know what you were showing was not just marketing. It was something. It's an old American term, and it's probably a universal term. It's showmanship. It was presenting what you've made in the spirit with which it was made, and it all reinforces the whole idea of the movie as an event. Just those little things you were showing me, particularly see yourself as different characters while you're waiting in line. That's pretty ingenious. It's pretty wonderful, and it's nostalgic for me for just a few months ago, because it reminds me of going to the movies and
there
the
was
fun
time.
of it. Yeah. It'll return.
It's really amazing to hear. The audience laugh. The whole audience laugh. They're not. No, there are some films that you don't know until it's on air. And I made so many test screenings that it's not so popular here in Israel, because usually you don't need them, or you don't like to make them, but it's a comedy. They must laugh. So I tried. I have no friends anymore, because I used all of them for test screenings and to being statistics. So it was like you have one bullet in your and you must use it clever. So that was my adventure, and now I have no reason to live for. So thank you for that.
And you've given me a new line to use in many situations. I hope always remember me this way, but thinner.
yeah. I'm working on it.
Of course, an example of what you were talking about before. It's not a specific movie that you're referring to, but it's every movie you've ever seen that has something similar to it. You put the sentiment out there, and then you puncture it in a way that makes it memorable, but it's also affectionate. That's the other thing about this.
You're ready. Life made you ready for this film. Just everyone who watched any movie, this film is based on real movies.
That's why I would give it a hug if I could. But my laptop's too hot right now, so I'm not going near it. But Jamie, do we have more questions that are coming in?
We do not. I think lunchtime keeps people busy. But I just want to say how much I loved this film. I'm also a big fan of the kind of comedies that you've been talking about. And I think, so when we're in the phase for this festival of reviewing films, I find myself, I'm watching a lot of films, right? And a lot of times I have them on while I'm at work, sort of on one screen, and I'm working on the other screen and sort of, going back and forth. But this film definitely ruined my workday because I, was stopping and laughing and did not get anything done while I was watching it, because it was just too much fun. And, you sort of touched on this, is that it is the kind of comedy that is not surprising to me exists, right? I can understand it in relationship to other types of comedy, understand it as a certain breed of comedy. But for me, the fact that it's coming from Israel just makes it funnier. I can't really put my finger on why, but I think it's, it has to do with what you were saying. It's not what I've come to expect out of Israeli film or even Israeli comedy. So good job. It's such a fun film. And
thanks a lot. It was well, Israel is exporting Mossad movies and TV shows all the time, so it's just natural to spoof it. That's why we usually make parodies about serious films, like and not about usually the police, like Naked Gun use the police, and lots of shows are like that. Right. So yeah. We just had to do that. It was, but now, we're looking for the next target victim.
Definitely,
there are lots of them.
I should also say for our audience, if those of you in the audience who come to film festival regularly and come to our Israeli films regularly, you will recognize a lot of the actors in this film. You may or may not know their names, but you will recognize them from other films we're showing this year, films we showed last year. You will recognize a lot of these actors. So highly recommended, Mossad. I want to thank.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Right?
Tell your local cinema.
Do something. We're just sitting there. Do something. Tell people. You're great. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Alon, for being here. Thank you, Elliot, for moderating this discussion. Thank you
this was a pleasure.
For watching. I do want to let you know that our next film discussion will be on Friday, October 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be talking about the film Back to Maracana, which is a road trip film, a family film, and we'll be talking with the director of that film. Again, that's at 12 o'clock on Friday, October 16th, and we hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone.